At this time, I would like to introduce our speakers for today. Pranay Kamat, Director of Product Management at Datadog, and Melanie Yu, Product Marketing Manager at Datadog. Pranay and Melanie, the floor is all yours.
All right, thank you so much, Lauren. Hi, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining. Let's go ahead and get started. This is flexible log management at for government using Datadog. So we'll be doing a very short recap of what Datadog is, the log management space today, and jump into a demo at the end. Please feel free to put any questions in the Q&A button located at the bottom center of your screen. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can after the webinar as well, if we do not get to it during the webinar. All right, so hi, my name is Melanie, and Pranay is also on the call here. And we're both part of the product team here at Datadog on the log management product. So super excited to be going into everything with you guys today. Again, before we dive in, just a few friendly reminders. First, if you have any questions, use that Q&A feature at the bottom of your Zoom window so we don't miss anything. If you do, I don't believe you have access to a Zoom chat, so we might not see your question if you don't put it in the Q&A button. Just make sure to do that. And second, this recording will be available later on, and we can just kick it off now. All right, so if you haven't used Datadog before, then welcome. And if you have, hopefully this session will be a great overview and small deep dive into how you can enhance your logging strategy at scale, all in a single platform. So we're going to do a quick introduction on Datadog, go over today's common challenges within the space of log management and how to enhance your logging strategy. And then we're going to dive into a short demo at the end. Our mission here at Datadog is very simple. We want to be this single unified platform for all of your observability needs. So just to give you a brief overview, Datadog first began in 2010, and we have since built a platform that combines metrics, traces, and logs, and a lot more since then. So Datadog is a SaaS monitoring and security platform for unified observability, covering everything from infrastructure monitoring to network device monitoring, data streams monitoring, RUM, log management, cloud security, all walks of observability. And since then, we've innovated exponentially to add even more products that we believe would make an engineer's day better overall. So we provide shared visibility into every part of your engineering stack in order to make it easier for everyone to collaborate more effectively with products such as application performance monitoring, infrastructure monitoring, and log management, and of course, a lot more. Today, we'll be covering log management specifically and focusing on how you can cost effectively use Datadog log management to maximize the return on your log data flexibly and cost effectively. So Datadog, if you haven't gotten the idea now, is a platform that provides your team with full context when you're investigating an incident across your metrics, traces, and logs. And all three are correlated so that you can jump from product to product seamlessly without losing any context. So logs specifically are a huge essential asset as it pertains to troubleshooting application issues, for example. You might be looking into why there was an issue with a payment on an e-commerce website, or you might need to diagnose and identify peak network usage for capacity planning, or for security, you might want to detect and prevent unauthorized access attempts with your SIEM provider. So all of these can be resolved with Datadog, and we have over 750 integrations that allow you to integrate with a lot of your existing tools. If you want to be alerted in Slack, if you want to open an incident and some kind of case through Jira or some other integration that you might have, we have over 750 vendor-backed integrations and a lot more coming. So we're constantly innovating, and all of that works with the entire platform as well as with Datadog log management. So now we're going to jump a little bit more into the log management space. Going back to the logging space today, we see an exponential surge in overall log volume across almost all organizations and industries. So for example, some of our customers manage millions or even hundreds of millions of logs per minute. And with such a huge increase in data volume and variety, it's becoming harder and harder to manage. And many organizations or teams within those organizations can spend hours or even days just searching for or managing all of their log data across multiple sources and tools. So before we talk more, even more about the log space, let's kind of understand how trends in the industry have changed. We've seen overall some fundamental changes in enterprise computing in the last decade that's led to a paradigm shift. So the first is multi-cloud deployments or multiple clouds. So your organization may be operating on multiple clouds for diversification or regulatory needs, which means a lot more logs are emitted. The second is containers. So you might be running containerized applications for faster and more agile software development, but it also means that you have more log data emitted from your distributed systems. And finally, the last is an increase in overall API usage. So your organization may also be using many different integrations and APIs, which makes finding the root cause much more difficult across different data sources. And so these overarching changes have led to a lot more complexity in log querying and analysis, and therefore can lead to more issues down the line in engineering time and cost. And so, what do organizations need, keeping all of this in mind? Well, first of all, a unified platform that combines all tools in order to have a single source of truth and also enforce standard log schema, tagging, enrichment, and redaction. If you're in a regulated industry, like government, for example, you also want to become confident that you're maintaining compliance across all of your log data. So, especially if you have both on premise and cloud solutions. You also need a scalable, cost-effective solution for monitoring all of your products reliably as the company grows. And finally, you want a solution that's accessible and easy to use by anybody in the organization, whether they're technical or not. And so with Datadog Log Management more specifically, we unified logs, metrics, and traces in a single view for seamless correlation. So whether you're troubleshooting issues, optimizing performance, or investigating security threats, Datadog provides a centralized platform for processing, searching, and analyzing all of your logs, optimized for value at any scale, so you can get complete visibility across your stack. So it's incredibly easy to use, as you can see from the screenshots on the slide. It has very interactive and intuitive UI that doesn't require any special query language. And we have an approach called logging without limits. And you can read more on our blogs on Datadog as well. But logging without limits refers to this concept or this suite of capabilities that Datadog has, which allows you to essentially collect all of your logs, all of your data from multiple sources, decide which logs to keep, so to index, to filter through and store or leave behind in your archives, and what to query on so that you can cost effectively do this with all of your log data. So essentially, log management is at Datadog specifically is able to do it all and all in one platform. And this is kind of a visual on how Datadog provides that comprehensive solution that centralizes log ingestion, processing, enrichment, analysis, routing, and archiving. And all of that we'll cover in the demo. We'll kind of show you what that means in a little bit. But our log management platform is made for enterprise scale. So we have, for example, a scanning tool called Sensitive Data Scanner that helps monitor for sensitive data leaks. We also support HIPAA, PCI, so many other compliance frameworks as well. And for companies that need to store for longer periods of time for compliance reasons, we have Flex Logs at Datadog in Log Management that we announced last year as limited availability. It is now generally available. And Flex Logs allows cost-effective storage of data for up to 15 months. And of course, on top of that, we also allow archiving to S3, Azure, and Google. And basically what to take away here is that you can have centralized log management in the form of processing, enrichment, and routing all within a single platform. You can search and understand root causes from millions of log events powered by our AI intelligence layer called Watchdog. And you can also gain full visibility at any budget by ingesting all of your logs and only filtering or indexing only what you need. And so just to, that was a lot of words for breaking it down to just these 3 steps. So the logging journey at Datadog can be broken down into this. Like, what does it mean once you've added an integration to Datadog? What does it look like to add your logs to Datadog? Well, first of all, you basically collect your logs, you store them in Datadog, and you analyze them. I would say that you can break them down this way. So first of all, logs might be being generated across many of your data sources. I'm sure some people have one or many more, especially as you scale, either on premise or in the cloud, both with AWS, GCP, and other vendors. So a lot of organizations come to us in order to ingest, process, and structure all of these logs all in one place, and then be able to route these logs to different destinations depending on their use case. So some could be stored in Datadog for active querying and analysis, some could be routed to external tools, and some they might want to route straight to their archives or their cold storage. And so first we'll cover the collection aspect. So we're going to go over that first one, collection of your logs. But before I continue and jump into it, I'd like to ask a very quick poll. And you should see it pop up on the screen. But how many different log sources does your organization currently manage? All right, it looks like the majority is 101 to 500 or more or other, which is very interesting. Um, Thank you all for responding. That's very insightful and love doing polls. We have a couple more coming up. That's good to know. Well, as you can see, there are a ton of organizations with obviously hundreds of data sources. And so Datadog makes it really, really easy for you to be able to do that. So just for a quick little overview on how you would begin the logging journey at Datadog and even collect all the log data into Datadog, um, you can start easily collecting and sending logs to Datadog via our agent. So it's a piece of software that you would install on servers and hosts to collect logs and then relay them to Datadog. So we have, as I mentioned, over 750 different integrations, including Nginx, Okta, Kafka, Salesforce, Windows event logs, so many more. And even logs from custom sources, so like legacy applications or proprietary software, are able to be collected and ingested into Datadog. So it's no problem, it's just any data source. And then once in Datadog, these logs can then be processed easily with our out-of-the-box pipelines and processors, which helps standardize log collection across your entire organization. Before I move on to the next slide, I also do want to mention that with each of these vendor-backed integrations, we do have out-of-the-box like metrics that you collect, as well as dashboards associated with each of them. So it makes it super easy. All you need to do is connect your account to Datadog and install the agent, and you're basically all good to go. But all right, talking a little bit more about standardizing log collection across your organization. You may also have logs coming from other vendors or observability platforms. You might have like security tools, agents, and more that you might want to bring into Datadog centralized platforms. So you might want to filter, redact, enrich, drop fields, and more in your own environment prior to sending externally to Datadog or your other tools. So for that, you can use observability pipelines to aggregate, process, and route your logs from a variety of sources to a variety of destinations. This way, you can move flexibly between vendors. You can reduce log volumes and cost. You can enrich your logs and redact sensitive data for compliance purposes, and do so all within your own environment. So it's especially useful for any organization with high log volumes and tight budgets to more easily route less critical logs to low-cost storage outside of Datadog. So you can also convert logs to metrics, which is super helpful to reduce the cost of sending logs and also declutter your end analytics tools and reduce overall computational needs. All right, so here you can see in the log management app, after ingesting all your logs, you can go to over 200 out-of-the-box pipelines, which is in our pipeline library for common log sources, and we'll go over this in the demo as well, such as Nginx, Okta, Salesforce logs, so many more. And in just a few clicks, what you can do is add all of the relevant pipelines needed to process your logs. So you could add custom pipelines and processors for custom log sources. For example, log events used to monitor bank transactions such as transfers or withdrawals. And taking a look at this Nginx pipeline in the in the slide here, or Okta pipeline in this case now, you can see that it can contain a grok parser, which helps to structure logs that come in unstructured. So it extracts information into JSON fields for easy search and analysis. You can, with the Okta pipeline that we just looked at, you can also see it contains other types of processors. So category processors, date remappers, other types of remappers. All of this to say is that it basically adds different attributes to your logs and standardizes them so that they can enforce a standardized log schema and tagging across the whole company, and across, most importantly, all of your log sources. And as we could see, there were, I think, a huge majority of people who had over 101 or 500 data sources, and that would basically clean that all up and make it easy to query later on. All right, so once you've ingested and enriched your logs, you might want to index and store them in various places. So whether that's in the platform, in your archives, or otherwise. So here's another quick poll, and you should see it pop up on the screen right now in just a second. All right, here we go. How long on average do you need to retain the majority of the logs that you work with? So a month or less, 1 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months, or 6 months or longer. And it looks like most people, which makes sense, given that this is for government, that I'm just guessing that you need to keep your logs for 6 months or longer. Looks like 83% of you responded 6 months or longer, whereas 8%, yeah, about 8% for a month or less, and 3 to 6 months. So it sounds like most people need to keep your logs for a very long time. And that's perfect. It's a perfect segue into our next segment, which I will now pass off to Pranay.
Yep. Thank you, Melanie. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. And so far we have had an opportunity to kind of look at kind of how you can collect different kinds of logs in Datadog, right? And then retain them for different use cases, whether they be DevOps troubleshooting or security or compliance or any kind of reporting. One of the things that we also hear a lot from many of our customers is that not all logs are created equal, or not all the logs are accessed or used the same way, right? So some of you might have application logs or security logs or network logs. And the two things that come up is, one, you may need to keep them for different retention periods. For example, you might have a need where you want to keep some application logs for like short retention periods, like 7 days or 30 days. But you might have other critical security logs that you might be required to keep for the government requirement for up to a year or longer, and then maybe even longer than a year sometimes for certain specific use cases, right? So what we see is this, what you have in front of you is this visual, which kind of maps out the various log types based on the frequency at which you typically access them, or based on the retention need. And what Datadog allows you to do is gives you great flexibility in terms of how you want to keep your logs searchable based on your budgets, based on your use cases, and based on kind of how you want to use them over time. So think of indexing as your fast, hot, snappy tier where you are able to search your logs, correlate it with metrics and traces, and build your alerts and dashboards. And think of flex logs as more like a cost-effective, warm tier, which is still searchable in Datadog. You can also correlate with your traces and metrics, but you may not have like a super fast latency experience for those logs, and you're okay with it, right? As long as you have a way to query them and keep them for longer retention at an affordable price at scale. And then finally, archiving is more about allowing you to keep your logs in cold storage, like your S3 buckets or Azure or GCP storage for long-term compliance, right? Very often we see different agencies or government units might have a need to keep certain logs for like 2 years, 3 years. And sometimes you might be asked to go and look at those older logs for audit or other investigations. So Datadog allows you to archive those logs flexibly and easily, and then also use the app to actually go and rehydrate those logs. So being able to go into the app, submit a quick job, and then kind of look at those historical logs whenever the need comes. Uh, Melanie, you want to go next slide? Okay. One of the things that's interesting about kind of the way you retain your logs in Datadog is that you actually have full control on exactly which logs you want to keep in Datadog for how long, right? So for example, uh, on this screen, what you see here is the concept of indexes. Think of indexes as a logical way for you to segment your logs based on certain criteria. It could be by environment, like production or staging, or it could be by team, or by business unit, or it could be based on some service name or application name, or some combination of those. What it allows you to do as an organization is use different indexes to actually segment these logs based on your budget needs, based on your retention needs. So you could keep certain logs for a shorter retention period, other logs for a longer retention period. And you can also define granular cost controls like daily quotas. We often see in the world of logs that logs can be spiky. There could be certain times of the week or the month where you have more logs and other times when you have less logs. It could also be kind of, you could have seasonality, or in the beginning of your fiscal year, or at the time of special events where you might see higher traffic. But to kind of stay within budgets, you are able to use things like, use estimated usage alerts, daily quotas, and even exclusion filters to kind of reduce any kind of noisy logs and stay in control of your volumes and budgets. What it also allows you to do is define these indexes in such a way that you are able to have granular control in terms of usage allocation, role-based access control, and also generally be able to democratize access to logs within your teams, while at the same time securing them from an authorization perspective. Like, certain teams may have the ability to access certain logs, and other teams may not be allowed to access those logs. So you can easily customize that in a very granular way. Okay, moving on. And next, we'll kind of talk about an analytics part of it. So, kind of where we already talked about how easy it is for you to collect these logs into the Datadog platform with our single agent, or with many of our native integrations with various cloud vendors and third-party integrations, and also store and retain them. The analytics part is really where kind of a lot of your users would spend their day-to-day operations on, right? Like many of them, this is where they will come and discover their logs, search them, analyze them, build any kind of like dashboards or graphs to kind of do the trends analysis, or kind of pinpoint the root cause for troubleshooting purposes. And so before we go into kind of see the actual demo of the product, one quick poll question coming up soon in front of you. Would love to hear a little bit about like which of the logs you use and what types of logs you find the most valuable. You have a few seconds to respond.
All right. Thanks, Pranay. Awesome.
Yep.
Thank
And
you
I
so
can,
much for talking everything.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You have.
Okay. Okay, well, so we can go ahead and continue with querying. Pranay kind of talked a little bit about the storage aspect, indexing, and so now we have the log explorer. So the user interface is relatively simple and straightforward, but there's a high degree of complexity hidden underneath. Normally you would have, a ton of different queries that you would have to write if you didn't have the easy point and click experience of the log explorer for querying all of your logs. Typically you'd have to write a ton of different queries in a specific querying language. But with Datadog, you don't have to be technical at all in order to search for, filter your logs. All you have to do is point and click using something we call facets, which is basically a series of filters, as easy as selecting a color on a website for picking your clothes, for example. It's that easy. And we think a lot about making the process of input as simple and elegant as the output at Datadog. So query time capabilities, including joins, so joining with reference table, as you can see on the slide here, That is one of our new advanced querying capabilities, field extraction, filtering with subqueries. This all can help speed up your investigations instead of the long, complex inputs that you would normally have to do. And we also allow calculated fields, multi-formula queries, as well as just multiple just other types of like grouping into fields, patterns, transactions, and visualizations all in one place and all in one go as you're querying. And this is basically easy for you to use, and we're constantly innovating and adding more features, more capabilities. And we also came out with a couple of new products recently that will help in addition to this. But that is all on analysis on your logs. Now, I also want to mention that Datadog operates one of the largest cloud environments across AWS, GCP, and Azure. So our customers send petabytes and petabytes of log data from all of these environments into our log management platform. And then what our security research team does is takes this data, analyzes it, and threat hunts in order to identify new and emerging threats. So in some ways, you can think of us as operating one of the world's largest honeypots. We see so much data that most other security products don't see. And then we turn all of this research into detection rules that can be used by our customers. And so to make it easy to consume all the content coming from our threat research program, we've introduced the concept of content packs. So content packs package together detection rules, dashboards, workflows, and a lot more to make it really easy for you to get started. So you can essentially use a content pack in a few clicks. You can install it. And then by installing it, you can then start monitoring all of your logs, detection threats, and respond to them via automation. And we have content packs for pretty much everything. So cloud audit logs, firewalls, endpoint detection and response or EDR, SaaS applications and identity providers, and a lot more. And all of this, across all the different features and tools that I've talked about throughout so far, all of this is in one platform. So it's all very easy to use. You do not have to switch to multiple tabs or anything. It's just all a seamless click-through experience in the Datadog platform. And speaking of, let's get into the demo. So I'm going to stop share right now and switch to sharing my screen for the demo. So let's do that here. All right. Should be able to see my screen. Okay, so basically, Datadog is a SaaS monitoring and security platform for unified observability. And a key part of that observability is log management, which we're going to dive deeper into today. But of course, we have dashboards, monitors. You can see all the other products on the left-hand side of the screen. So we're going to go over how you can collect, manage, and analyze all of your logs at scale. So in this demo, we'll be using Shopist, which is our demo e-commerce platform, in order to show what Datadog Log Management can offer. So we're going to start off with this high-level dashboard with information across all the products that you have in one place, side by side. In this case, we're focused on logs, but you can also see that we have high-level visualizations here, latency, average request per second, error rate. We have business KPIs for anyone in a more executive or higher up position, so that they can take a look at everything across the entire organization. Here we have everything with logs. So you can see average cart value for successful checkouts. In this case, is an e-commerce website. So of course, these are out of the box, but you can customize them to handle your specific use case. And of course, you can see here web store error log stream, which is dynamically updated. We have APM, or application performance monitoring. You can view all of your different, checkout duration per cluster, average CPU per cluster, service map. Of course, you can set up monitors and alerts in order to tell you whether or not something is, what's going on. So if you have some kind of anomaly that's taking place right now, everything looks okay. So that's awesome. You can look at infrastructure monitoring, serverless, databases, so many more, but you get the gist. Now you're kind of wondering, okay, that's beautiful. This dashboard is awesome. But okay, that's a great dashboard. Where is all that information coming from, right? How did you turn all of that data that from multiple different sources into this beautiful dashboard? So let's explore how we got these logs. And specifically, we're going to look at how we got log data into the platform and into this dashboard. So now we're going to go ahead and go to our integrations here on the left-hand side. So here is where I was talking about, we have over 750 out-of-the-box data sources and integrations to collect logs. So including AWS, Azure, GCP, Okta, Salesforce, so many more. But of course, you can also choose custom sources. Here, I could scroll forever, basically. And you could see that we have so many different options and configurations. If we were to click on Amazon S3, for example, you can see that's very easy in terms of configuration. All you need to do is link your AWS account and you're basically all done. It shows you all the metrics that you're collecting as well with this integration, and a general overview of what it does and any permissions. But yeah, each of these sources has its own out-of-the-box dashboard associated, and all you need to do is connect your accounts. And then once your sources are connected, you're essentially ingesting logs. So it's that simple, that collection aspect. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at observability pipelines. So on the left-hand side here, if you take a look at logs, and I'm going to go down to observability pipelines. You may also have logs coming from other vendors or observability platforms, security tools, agents, and more that you might want to route to Datadog's centralized platform. So with Datadog observability pipelines, you can quickly and easily aggregate, process, and route your logs from source to destination in your own environment. So as you can see, we also have a bunch of templates down below for how you want to do things. A lot of our customers also might have a different vendor, and they want to migrate over to Datadog. What makes it really easy is that they can dual ship logs. So you can send a copy of your logs to another destination without disrupting your existing workflow. And that basically makes it super easy for eventual migration. And as you can see with this, it's very simple. Once you click on it, you can create a new pipeline, select a source, and then it's like a drag and drop point and click experience. All right, so now once our logs are ingested, either through the integrations or through Datadog observability pipelines, depending on your use case, they're ready to be processed. So we can go and view our pipelines. So we're going to go here, and we're going to just go to, pipelines here. And as you can see here, we have tons of pipelines. You can name them. These, you can go ahead and filter. But in this case, I'm going to go to the top right-hand side and where it says Browse Pipeline Library. This is kind of a preview or the actual demo of the preview I gave you earlier. But in order to search through all the logs from your different data sources, you need to standardize them. So you need to parse and transform all of them so that they're in a readable format, because obviously, as you can imagine, if you have over, like, let's say 400, 300, 400, 500 data sources, they're all going to be in different formats. How are you going to query and search through them all? So that's where this comes in. If you have Akamai logs, for example, and you basically put the logs through this this pipeline, it basically remaps it, it processes it, enriches it so that it has all the relevant tags and proper format that it needs to be in to be the same as all the other Datadog logs. So this typically would be a pain if you're doing it manually, but we have over 240 out-of-the-box pipelines that automatically parse your logs and save time for your engineers. And we're constantly adding new pipelines all the time. And on top of this, you can customize them. So once you've added all of your logs into Datadog, you might want to view those ingested logs in real time. So you might be wondering, okay, cool. Like once you've ingested your logs and you've processed them, what does it look like? Where can I see all those logs coming in? So we have our dynamic real-time log stream all here, and it's all within the platform as well. So you can see that this is all of your ingested data from the past 15 minutes, completely unsampled. And you can obviously use this for hotfix deployments or any kind of just anything for real time. So it's super, super useful. It allows you to search 100% of all of your logs that we just ingested and ran through all of our pipelines indexed or not. So you can use live tail, live search to tail new applications, hotfix appointments, kickstart some kind of investigation in real time without worrying about any kind of exclusion filters or sampling in your index configurations. So speaking of indexing, and I know Pranay touched on this a little bit. So we mentioned that we are now, we now have flex logs. And so if we go back to manage log retention here, you'll be able to see under indexes, this is where we want to kind of essentially you can think of it as filtering through all of your logs for only what you need. So obviously, if you have millions and millions of logs, you might only be wanting to see a subset of those logs. In this case, we have, for example, this index for seeing only error transaction logs from the web store service. So you can see that there are exclusion filters. Hey, I don't want to see, the debug logs. I don't want to see this specific type of, just filtering out the specific type of error. And then you have standard tier and flex tier, and the flex tier is where your flex logs are. If we go ahead and click on this, you'll be able to see that, we have a general setup here. You have your filters and how you can configure your storage tier and retention. So here, this is where you can filter, okay, these are the subset of the logs that I actually want to see in my environment. And here, this is where I want to configure exactly how long I'm going to keep them for. So after 7 days of standard retention for real-time exploration, dashboards, alerting, after the 7 days are up, and usually these are tailored for, from what we've seen with our customers, is application logs, for example. You only need them for maybe about 7 days, after which they're no longer useful. So you can either get rid of them or otherwise. Security logs, which I think the majority of people answered here, like 87%, need to retain most of the logs for 6 months or longer, and they're usually security logs. Flex tier is perfect for that. It's a cost-effective way to store all of those logs in Datadog and to continue to maintain compliance, especially for government. And this is where you can store your logs for historical investigation with flexible, compute options. And I know Pranay touched on it a little bit. It's kind of like flex logs are kind of the warm storage in terms of, standard indexing being your hot storage and archiving being your cold storage. And I like to think of it as clothes. So hot storage, it's kind of like, standard indexing or hot storage is kind of like keeping all of your clothes in your closet. Be very easily accessible at any time. Cold storage is archiving. So you're putting all of your clothes on all the way in an off-site storage unit a mile away from your house. It's very hard to reach, and every time you go, you need to search through all of the bins and look through everything, bring it back. Oh no, it's the wrong bin. You have to put it back and start all over again. So it's just like archiving. And then warm storage, which is essentially the flex tier here, or flex logs, that allows you now to essentially kind of keep your clothes or your logs in a bin under your bed, for example. Still very easily accessible. It's ready whenever you need it. It's there, but it's you just have to like go somewhere else to get it. It's right there. So if we go to the log explorer now, you can see, so these logs are being stored for 7 days, after which they will be stored for 90 days. If we want to see where this kind of shows up, you can see that there's a toggle at the very top. Here it says include flex logs. Right now there are 8.3 million logs found. If I turn this off, you'll see that the 0.3 million logs are now gone. And you can basically see that if you were to filter and search your logs here, this would be all of your standard tier logs. And if you include the flex logs, it will be, oh, now it's 8.4 million, but this will include all of your flex logs as well. And again, this is a very easy point and click experience. So you can see that if I wanted to do, I want to see my error logs. I want to see my web store, let's say like web store logs, my web store service logs. So now this is your web store service error service logs. And of course, we have 29,000 logs. Well, how do we make that a little easier to look at? Well, up here, we have something called group into fields, patterns, and transactions. Patterns are what a lot of our customers love about Datadog. Basically, you are able to, instead of looking at hundreds of thousands, millions of individual logs, you can group them together. because we use machine learning to intelligently aggregate similar logs to surface insights. So instead of looking at 29,000 logs, we have 20 patterns. And you can see that this one takes up most of the errors, and you can then drill down and not only do some kind of, in this case, it's not applicable. You can do a pattern inspector if it is, or drill down on the specific log. And I know throughout the presentation, I've been saying that it's correlated, logs are correlated with your metrics and traces as well. But you can see that under the event attributes, you have a lot of information on this specific log, but you also have traces and your metrics. So this is coming from two other products in Datadog. So metrics are from your infrastructure monitoring product, and traces are coming from the application performance monitoring product. And all of these are all correlated so that if you wanted to, you could click on any of these, for example. You could drill down, so let's say like this one, and then you can go to the respective product. So here, now we can see that we jumped to the APM product. But it's that easy, and everything is correlated. And on top of that, I do want to mention that I know you can redact sensitive data. I know a lot of people want to maintain compliance here, especially for government. We have products like Audit Trail and Sensitive Data Scanner that helps with that. So you can see that this log, obviously with an e-commerce website, you might have credit card numbers, you might have just sensitive data like addresses and emails and other contact information, personally identifying information, or PII being included. So in which case, here we have something called sensitive data scanner. And you can see here that email, for example, is redacted. And this is redacted by sensitive data scanner, which you can customize to have different rules. In this case, there's a rule that basically censors any sort of personal email. And you can do this with social security numbers, API keys, passport numbers, any kind of other information that might be included in a log so that it's all safe and secure. All right. And of course, we have all those different types of advanced querying. Obviously, this is a more simpler version of querying, but we have all kinds of different visualizations that you can also do. You can also add queries. In this case, sorry, let me clear my selections here. All right. So now you can see that you can add a query so that you can do a multi-query search. You can also add a formula to do some kind of calculation on top of that. And if I'm going to close this again, you can also join with reference tables so that you can compare information from two different types of data sources, as well as filtering by subqueries, which is super awesome. And of course, we have a lot more. We do have a new product called Log Workspaces that just came out that we won't dive into deeper today, but you can read all about it online. And of course, on top of all of this, you can easily set up alerts, or what we call monitors here. So under monitors, you can go to, there are a lot of different monitors here, but if you wanted to create a new monitor, we're going to go create a new monitor. You have all types of monitors across all of your different products, but if we want to create a new monitor for logs, this is where you can define a search query, set conditions, and configure exactly what the message will say and how it will trigger a workflow. And who will see it, where they will see it. A lot of our customers like to do it on Slack, on Jira, etc. So super easy to use. Alerts can also be used with various integrations. So yeah, super easy to use. All right, and finally, I wanted to cover really quickly Cloud SIEM. So I know I talked a little bit about the content packs and overall just, the overview. So let's start with the overview. So aside from collecting, storing, and analyzing all of your logs, we do also integrate really, really well with security. So security events and logs ingested into Datadog can be designated for SIEM analysis. And so it's very easy for security teams to get started quickly with Cloud SIEM content packs. So you can detect and respond to threats in your environment, all within Datadog. And if you go to content packs, for example, this AWS CloudTrail content pack comes out of the box with detection rules, with dashboards, with different Cloud SIEM the Cloud SIEM Investigator, which is this graphical visualization tool that helps you view the full breadth of attacker activity in AWS or other cloud environments, and as well as other written content, so documentation, configuration guides, blogs, and so much more related to specific common log sources. So all of this and so many more, but otherwise, I feel like this has given you hopefully a great overview on all the different capabilities that we can do within Datadog. I hope you enjoyed the demo. In the meantime, I'm going to go back to the slides here. So let me stop sharing, then try that again. All right, here we go. Okay, great. Okay, awesome. So our log management product specifically helps with practically any use case you might have because it makes available so many other monitoring and management tools within a single platform. And there are only a few of over 28,000 of our Datadog customers globally, a majority of which use Datadog log management to collect, enrich, store, and query their logs. So like on the slide here. But some of our customers also include Zendesk, Carta, PagerDuty, TimeBank, London Stock Exchange Group, Block, and so many more. And speaking of Block, one of our major customers is Block. You may have heard of or even used, Square, Afterpay, Cash App, or some other apps owned by Block. But they're one of our many customers that's been using Flex Logs. Ratchet is the engineering manager of observability there. So after using Flex Logs for the past several months, he's seen an incredible return on their log assets in time and resources without sacrificing any visibility. So overall, Datadog log management and Flex Logs has made it really easy for Block's engineering teams to migrate a lot more of their engineering stack away from their proprietary solutions and onto Datadog. And with that, if you want to try out Datadog and explore its different features on your own, please feel free to scan that QR code here or go to Datadog, datadog.hq.com/log monitoring, or that bit.ly on the screen here, bit.ly logs free trial. To sign up for a free trial, it should take up less than 30 minutes to easily set up and try out. If you're already using Datadog, you can feel free to check out some of our latest blog posts on our newest features. We have log workspaces, we have Flex Logs, we have a ton of different advanced querying capabilities. And you can feel free to also visit the link at the bottom of the slide for best practices as well. So thank you guys so much again for attending the webinar. Hope it was really insightful. Of course, we'll get back to you if we didn't get to answer your question in the Q&A. But as of now, I think we can maybe answer. I think it seems like we got one. Or we got a couple actually that have been answered. So thank you so much for answering them. I think we have last one. I think we're going to be answering them right now. Unless Pranay, you want to answer that one live? It looks like you're typing an answer.
I'll just type out, they'll be available for everyone.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. All right. So in the meantime, if you have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. If we don't get back to you, then we'll definitely get back to you after the webinar. And if not, then thank you so much and hope you have a great rest of your day.